Hi, Kat Chancellor here with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I have another project. It's another 3D shadow box card project. This is much larger than the ones I've done in the past, but I'm just really loving this project because I think there's just a lot of versatility, especially with these really neat flowers that I've made using this new die set that's kind of hidden in the annual catalog, the Paper Florist Dies. Now, what I did is when you get these will kind of come in an envelope. As I took one of my old Stampin' Up! Packages or boxes and I just put a couple of magnetic sheets on the back, and I was able to organize my dies very quickly. And as you can see, I have some of my press and seal that I use when I cut multiple flowers like I'm doing for these projects that I've been doing the last couple of weeks. So it's just really a little tip for you on how to store some of your dies, especially these dies as well. Here I'm going to bring in my muffin tin. I have all the different larger flowers. I'll have links because you may want to refer to my other videos which featured some of the smaller flowers, but now I'm just kind of combining them both to create this really pretty shadow box frame card. Now this project will feature the painted florist dies, which are their larger flowers. I'm also using the Wanted to Say dies. These are these really nice word dies that I think are another really great value. Again, I put them in a plastic stamp box with some magnetic sheets to kind of keep those organized. I'm also using the Cheerful Daisy dies. I really like the little those little leaves, kind of spindly leaves that they create, and I'm using both garden green and mossy mellow colors. There it is. I have my garden green already cut in there. Just kind of poke those out so you can see that they're really great fillers for any kind of flower arrangement. And you've seen some of my other videos that I've used them quite a bit, along with the leaves that actually come with the Paper Florist dies. I'm also going to be using basic white cardstock. This background is very plain. This was my first attempt at this project, but I'm going to pull in a 3D embossing folder. In this case, I'm using the Parisian Flourish 3D. I really like the texture on this embossing folder, that I wanted kind of a neat background instead of using a color. I have used just cardstock. I've used Moody Mauve to cut my flowers off, Boho Blue, but you can use your inks. That is Blackberry Bliss, is kind of my accent color. I have both Lemon Lolly and So Saffron colors there for my flowers. Because these are larger flowers, you need a little bit more contrast between the petals. This is just a nice daisy flower with basic white and lemon lolly kind of sponged around the edges. And I'll demonstrate all of these and how you kind of can put them together. You can also see I have the little iridescent gems in there, and then the little sprigs, of course, I'm using the new holographic specialty paper. I've also used it for the lettering there. So I'm just really pleased with the way it came out. I'm probably going to do a couple of changes with this. Now there is an option to create a little shelf or a divider for your for the shadow box. It gives you some options. When you add it as a shelf, you could even turn it into a project that maybe it becomes kind of a collectibles type of project, which again gives you versatility. So let's go ahead and get started. The base of our shadow box is going to be 6 inches by 8 inches. It's cut out of basic white, and our sides are going to be 3.5 by 8. And on the bottom and top it's going to be 2.5 by 6, and we're going to score those later. Now I went ahead and I cut another piece of basic white cardstock, and I cut about 6 by 8, and I used my 3D embossing folder, which is a 6 by 6 size, and I'm just showing you that I went ahead and I embossed the top and then I flipped it around. It just creates a slight seam, but I ran it through my stamping cut and emboss machine and kind of let the back end kind of hang off, and it was it embossed perfectly, except for that little seam, which you really don't have to worry about. We're going to have to cut it down once we create our frame, but we're going to go ahead and do that later. So now to score our frames. Beginning on the 3.5 side, you're going to score at a half, 1.5, 2, and 3 inches, and then you're going to go down and score a ½ inch on either side, all the way down through the second score line. Again, a half, 1.5, 2, and 3 inches, and then this long piece, the 8-inch piece on the 3.5 side, again, 1/2, 1.5, 2, and 3 inches. So now we're going to just simply trim one edge about 1/8 of an inch, and that's just going to help us to have a nice clean connection when we glue everything up. So I'm using my bone folder, and you want to go ahead and cut down the 2 score lines and then kind of cut a little diagonal. As you can see here, when you fold it, that's going to create our miter. Now you can refer to my earlier videos that I kind of demonstrate the same for the other frames, but this is along the same the kind of building the same mechanism that you need to create these nice miters for these shadow box frames. Now the sides are simply a paper tube, and those are folded and then glued, and then once we fold and glue them, we're going to attach them to the back of our card. So I've cut out my saying using my wanted to say dies. I've added dimensionals, but I'm going to really make this pop up by adding 2 layers of dimensionals and applying it to where I want to see it on my shadow box card. That is going to help me to decide where I want to put my divider or my shelf. I'm also adding these little stars cut out of the holographic paper. These are also part of the die set for the wanted to say dies. So now I can decide where I want to place my shelf or my divider. I'm going to just simply make some very light marks with my pencil, and then I'm going to add some glue to the back. You may want to add some glue to the edges so that the shelf kind of adheres to the side frames of your shadow box card. Now I'm going to pull in the petals that I have die cut. These are the large flowers and also include the large and small petals of the rounded petal dies. And if you refer to my earlier videos, I go into a lot of detail about what each one of these dies can create, because For these larger flowers, we're actually going to layer several of these petal die cutouts to create these large full flowers. Now I'm using Moody Mauve here to color my petals. I'm coloring the outside of the petals, but I'm also going to demonstrate how we're going to add another color to kind of add a little bit of dimension. Since these are such large flowers, we want to make sure that we have a little bit more color variegation. As you know, usually large flowers do have different shades of color that kind of really make them pop out. So this is what I'm doing here. You'll see I'll pull in my lemon lolly, and I'm going to color the inside, sponge the inside of the petals, and then on the outside I'm going to go ahead and use my sponge dauber to kind of use my Moody Mauve to kind of add a little bit of color to the edge. And if you kind of wipe against it, it actually kind of has a nice streaking effect, which really looks like kind of the way real flowers are variegated. I'm also pulling in another color here. This is a Berry Burst, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and just add a little bit of extra coloring to make the edges kind of stand out here for our large bloom. So I'm just going to kind of let you watch as we put together the rest of the flowers. I'm using lemon lolly that is sponged with so saffron. So now that we've completed making our flowers, we're just going to go ahead and start pulling them in to kind of create our arrangement. I'm using the boho blue and the moody mauve as kind of my main flowers. I'm going to fill in with the so saffron and lemon lolly flowers, and then I'm adding an accent with the blackberry bliss, which kind of balances the color of the happy birthday up on top. I'm using my hot glue gun to adhere them, and then I'm going to go ahead and add all our leaves and our other little sprigs as accents. So let's go ahead and watch the arrangement take shape. I added some more foliage up there, and I added a little bit more foliage down here, so it kind of comes up along the side of the frame. So now we're going to add on the back. What we're going to do is we're going to put on a kind of a stand, and this is measured 6 inches, so it's going to go on the back, and then it's 9.5, and it's scored at 3, 6, 7.5, and 9, so that it creates this kind of fold here, which is going to go on the back. And then on the back of that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a placard that you can see on the back. So let's go ahead, let's take this and grab our glue. And there's our back. Now we're going to do our sides. And what I'm going to do is I found some old DSP, And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this. It's going to be 3/4 because this is an inch. I'm going to cut that 3/4 by 7 3/4, and then this is going to be 5 3/4. So there you go, using the 3D embossing folder for our background, which you can see, the paper florist dies for our wonderful flowers, and the wanted to say dies for our sentiment and for our stars, as well as the cheerful daisies for some of our foliage as well. We use the inks Berry Burst, Moody Mauve, some Boho Blue, and of course our Lemon Lolly. Basic white cardstock. We created our sides with just some DSP that we had that was cut 3/4 by 7 3/4, and then 5 3/4 along the bottom. We have a wonderful little stand with another sentiment that we can use to stand up our shadow box card. It's just a really lovely project to show off the versatility show off the paper florist dies from Stampin' Up. If you haven't already, please hit like. All products are available on my online store. There will be a link below. You can go to my blog for product details. If you would like a workshop, please contact me and I can arrange that for you. If you're looking for a demonstrator, please consider joining my team, and consider also joining as a hobbyist. For $99, you can enjoy a 20% discount. There's more information on my blog as well. If you are a demo and you like my content, please help my channel analytics by supporting my channel by hitting like, share, and leave a comment so that I can continue to provide you content. This is Kat Chancellor from Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. Happy stamping.